Demon's Souls Remake. Such a classic. I am so happy that they did this, like remaking the original action role-playing game developed by FromSoftware for PlayStation 3. And now here we are, PlayStation 5 already. Unbelievable. And I'm so glad that they decided to do this. I mean, this game was great. And even though I like the Dark Souls series, I've got to say that there was something about Demon's Souls that made it unique. It kind of stood out, if you see the point I'm drawing. In Dark Souls, as you know, when you die, you become a zombie. In Demon's Souls, when you die, you become a ghost. I've always found the latter choice to be more charming. The Nexus mechanic was also something that I was really into, and I was kind of disappointed of seeing it go away in the Dark Souls series. But today you're not here to hear me ramble about these things. We want to talk about armor, weapons, shields, helmets. Heck, let's get to it. But if you like learning about historical weapons and armor through the means of fun media such as video games, TV series and movies, become a noble one. Subscribe to my channel for more content from the Metatron. Now, I'd like to underline that I don't own a PS5, so I am using footage from other channels, and you will find a mention, link to the original videos in the description. Check them out because these are really good videos, and credit where credit is due. But the first thing I'd like to mention is the overall look of the armor of the knight. Because let's face it, who doesn't choose the knight? Wizards, archers, what's wrong with you, mate? It's supposed to be the knight. Of course, this is a remake, not a remaster, so it's not just an upgraded graphics. This is a proper recreation of the game. The graphics are staggering, breathtaking, stunning. Those are all the adjectives I can think of right now. That meant redesigning quite a lot in the game. And when it comes to the levels, that's obviously great. That's good news. I'm not particularly attached to the plain, dry brick walls. We gamers welcome all the extra details. But when it comes to the original concept of the knight, well, those are dangerous waters, because of course we are all very happy with the fact that the armor now looks, incredible from a graphical standpoint. That goes without say, but the iconic look, that's something that many of us want preserved, and they didn't. Let's start with the helmet. The original Demon's Souls helmet had this very prolonged, long nose as one of the main characteristic features of the shape of the visor of his closed helmet. In Demon's Souls Remake, the fluted helm, which is the basic set for the knight, is now different. So let's examine these differences. In the remake version, the helmet looks more realistic, and of course that's something that I love. I mean, you know, guys, that I love historical accuracy. But in a way, I have to say that in this case, I miss the original look of the fluted helm in Demon's Souls, because even though the visor was less realistic, the shape is reminiscent of Venetian carnival masks. It gives the character a very odd madman look that I think it was perfect. The Demon's Souls remake fluted helm looks generic. It looks good, but it doesn't have the same charm. Also, the fluting is different. It just looks not right. Even though in the original one we have a lot less pixels for obvious reasons, the fluting looked more believable. And for those who don't know, fluting in historical Gothic or Maximilian style armor was used to deflect the points of blades, increasing the structural strength of the plates. So it's not just decorative, it is functional. Now, for those of you who don't know, however, the original Demon's Souls helmet is present in the game. It just has a different name. It's called Iron Helm, and it can be found. Now, I'm gonna tell you how to find it here, but if you don't want any spoiler, although again this will be a spoiler of the tutorial of a game that came out in 2009, so is that even I don't know. Anyways, if you don't want to watch it, just skip to this minute, I guess. So, in order to get the original helm, you basically have to beat Vanguard Demon in the tutorial. I know, that's a scripted fight that you're supposed to lose, because it's the fight that sends you to the Nexus, which means you can win it. If you manage to beat the Vanguard Demon, then you will transport it to a secret area. It just suffices to say that in this area you will find a corpse, and this corpse will have the so-called Iron Helm, which is basically the same helmet that you had in the original one for PS3. There is a catch though. You must beat the Vanguard Demon on your first try, or you will never be able to access this area. So if you're fighting and you see you're losing, friggin' reset the console. If I was in the developers team, I would have chosen to put this helmet either as an option at the beginning, like, okay, do you want the new style, do you want the old style? Classic. During character creation, they have upgraded that anyways with new things, so you can choose. I would have added it as an option. If you really want us to work for it, which is fine, I think it would have made sense to even have it as something you can buy, but it's very expensive. Just my 2 cents. Let's move to the rest of the armor. As you can see, the armor looks very similar. The shoulder plates are asymmetrical. Usually Gothic plate is not like that. It's not asymmetrical, but this could be a Gothic plate armor in the Italian style. Not a big deal, it's fine. In Italy, we used asymmetrical pauldrons, and it's great that it's the left one because that's how it's supposed to be. It's usually your line of defense. That's the sort of side of the body that you present to the opponent if you are a right-handed man. You want less plate on the shoulder plate on the right because your right arm is what you generally need to control your weapon, so that's fantastic. Given the left pauldron is a bit too big, but not a big deal, it's a fantasy setting. The throat, which used to be quite well protected in the original version, is now completely exposed. So that's already something that kind of bothers me because yes, he's an undead. It wasn't always an undead. I mean, given maybe that's the reason why he died in the first place, but not a big fan of the exposed neck. The breastplate is also looking different, and again, I kind of liked the original shape. The armor generally reminds me of early 16th century German armor in the Gothic style, the Maximilian style, which I think is a great choice anyways, because in my opinion, of the two most popular kinds of armor styles of the Middle Ages in Europe, so the Gothic German style and the Northern Italian white armor style, I think the Gothic style is perfect for dark fantasy, whereby Northern Italian white armor is perfect for epic fantasy, heroic settings. So the choice is already excellent. But the armor in the Demon's Souls remake version seems to be less protective overall. The fact that the torso protection, the cuirass, is cut quite high is fine because that's a breastplate. It's not supposed to go all the way down to modern day jeans or belt. It was supposed to protect you all the way up to your waist, generally speaking above your navel, because you would have a separate piece called a placard that would compensate and protect the rest, still granting excellent mobility. And for some reasons he doesn't seem to have that, but that's fine, I suppose. I mean, this is a world where there are monsters and demons. We don't know the sort of life experiences that this man had to go through. Maybe he lost it, maybe he couldn't afford it, whatever, that's fine. So the overall size of the breastplate might look odd to people who are not used to armor, but that's actually exactly what a breastplate is supposed to do. It's supposed to protect your upper torso, because the lower torso should be protected by a separate set of plates to ensure mobility. And again, the fluting looks more believable in the original than it does in the newer version, and also the original seems to be more domed. The breastplate is supposed to be domed because that way it will encourage weapons to glance off. As a little point of trivia, the female version of Demon's Souls fluted helm looks basically the same in the original, but it's completely different. It's just a different helm altogether in the remake. So if you choose the female knight, you will have basically what appears to be some kind of barbute. And you know I love barbutes. Personal taste, I don't particularly find it beautiful, but that's just me. I would have probably given the same helmet to the female version as well, maybe given the option to raise the visor. And in general, that would be a great option. Sometimes you can do it in MMO RPGs. I think they should do it in offline RPGs too. I understand that in Dark Souls, it kind of depends on what set. The standard knight set has an open visor and the elite closed visor, but I wish it wasn't scripted. I wish it was something that I can just push, select, whatever it's called, and the visor is raised and lowered for added customization. Now let's move to the shield, because I've got a lot to say about the shield, and I've got a dedicated video to Dark Souls shields, which was a collaboration with Roland Valzeka. You'll find a link in the description below, but for this video, I'd like to focus a little bit on the shield so that we see again if they changed some key elements. And the short answer is no. So the shield still looks like a heater shield, which is great for this time period, is absolutely fine. Heater shields started to appear in history towards the end of the 13th century. By the 14th century, they were very popular. By late 15th and early 16th century, of course, some knights would choose to give up the shield altogether, but other knights would still use shields, and the sort of shield that they would use would definitely be heater shields, so that's fine. The material of the shield, we've got a little bit of a steel versus wooden core shields. The fact of the matter is, historically, no heater shields were ever made of metal. They would all have a wooden core, and generally they would be covered in linen and parchment, sometimes even both. In this case, instead, we see that the shield is either laminated in metal with a wooden core, but I think it's more probable that the shield is entirely made of metal. I think it's just a steel shield. That's what it looks like. Also, the shield has a reinforcing rim, also made of metal, which is a crazy overkill if you think about it. I mean, the shield is already entirely made of steel. Why do you need a reinforcing rim of steel? And that's again something that we see a lot in video games and fantasy representations of heater shields, and that's because even when the shield is wood, they always kind of put the rim around. Now, rims existed, but not on heater shields. On other kinds of shields, sure, but not on heater shields. Heater shields, no rim. So in this case, not only the rim is not historical, but it's weird because it's completely redundant. Would a steel heater shield make sense in the Demon Souls / Dark Souls universe? And I'm gonna say yes. And in fact, it's not the only steel shield that we see. The gigantic, ginormous tower shield used by this Muppet obviously is entirely made of steel. Would a shield like that, still made of steel of the same thickness and simply reproportioned into the size of a man, make sense? No, no one could use that. Like literally, it would weigh too much, and that's the same thing for the heater shield. A shield made of thick steel is not gonna work, particularly for a tower shield. Tower shield being a fantasy name, the historical terminology for that kind of shield would be a pabis, which again, historically would be made of wood. Thing is though, if you are in a magical realm where people possess superhuman strength, then absolutely make a shield of steel. Because you see, wooden shield worked perfectly, otherwise people wouldn't have used them. They were excellent, but that doesn't mean that they never failed. Sometimes wooden shields would fail. So an advantage you would gain with a thick steel shield would be that it would never fail. Guaranteed protection. So since we are playing a character who is an undead, I have no problems with the steel heater shield. The only thing is that I don't think you really need the rim. But the real problem I've got with this shield is the grip. So the basis of a successful design, whether it be fantasy or whether it be real life, is achieving maximum results with minimum effort. In this case, I don't see we can see that, and if we look at the Dark Souls 3 shield, we can even have a better understanding. We see that the shield is held in kind of a strange way. So generally speaking, these kind of shields would be strapped to your arm, or sometimes you could hold both straps and hold it in the center, but generally speaking, the shield would be strapped at an angle or in a horizontal way. This shield, however, is used in a way that it's perpendicular to the arm, so it's vertical. We can see that because when the arm is relaxed, the bottom goes up. So the knight is effectively wielding the shield upside down. This is even more evident that the shield is actually supposed to be used like that, not only because of the grip, but also because of the arm pad that we see in Dark Souls 3. The arm pad shows how the arm is supposed to be. Arm pads were a thing historically, but as you can see, either horizontal or at an angle. And even though there are some rare cases of vertical arm pads, they are for completely different shields that were supposed to be used in a completely different way, to punch with the bottom, not with the top. However, I did find some historical evidence of shields gripped this way exactly. I mean, check this out and tell me this is not fascinating. Does that mean that I find then the overall grip and way he wields the shield to be historical? No. And the problem is because in every depiction that I could find in medieval iconography, we see that this upside down way of wielding the shield was always supported by two straps. And the secondary strap here is incredibly important, because when you wield a shield this way, you're basically wielding it with a grip being placed above the center of mass. This means that without a bottom strap, you would have literally no control over the shield. In other words, just imagine the knight presenting the shield towards you. If you kick the bottom of the shield, it will tilt. There is nothing you can do about it. So if they added a secondary strap to hold the shield in place so that you have actual control, then I would have no problems. And that's what I've got for you today. So if you like this video, please remember thumbs up, share it with your friends, share it with your cat, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments below, because of course there are so many different sets of armor in this game that I could make an entire series, and if that's what you like, that's what I shall deliver. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Goodbye.